Okay, 3, 2, 1.
I just wanna sing a love song. La, 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 la. I just wanna
Hey there,
sing
welcome
a
back.
love song.
This is Kindle Love Stories for people who want to hear about love and romance and happy endings. I'm your host, Laura Rope. Thank you for watching. This week on Kindle Love Stories, our theme is babies and pregnancy. Okay, now we've got author Dina Silver on the line, and I can't wait to talk to her. Her book, One Pink Line, is one of my all-time favorites, and her next book, Finding Bliss, is coming out July 16. So here she is. I can't wait. Hi, Dina. I love your writing.
Thank you. I really don't ever tire of hearing that.
Well, I'm really excited to talk to you. I think it's always interesting to hear how authors got their start and decided to just finally sit down and write their first book. How did you decide to do that?
I've been working as a writer for about 15 years in the advertising industry, writing copy for websites, brochures, direct mail pieces, radio spots, things like that. And I always wanted to write a screenplay. I'm a big film watcher and television watcher, and kind of one of my dreams was to write a screenplay. So I had started writing one, and kind of midway through the first, quarter of it, I thought it would make a really great novel. And I also had a friend who's another copywriter tell me that, if I was able to find any success with a novel, I'd probably have a better chance of getting my book turned into a screenplay than I would selling a screenplay. So that's kind of how I got my start. I turned my first attempt at a screenplay into a novel, and here I am 3 novels later.
Wow. Did you publish those on your own?
I did. I published, I published Catfight and One Pink Line on my own, and then Amazon Publishing picked up One Pink Line and my third book, Finding Bliss.
Let's talk about Finding Bliss. That comes out on July 16th, right?
Yes, just a few weeks away.
Well, I have read One Pink Line, and I have yet to get my hands on Finding Bliss, but I can't wait. First of all, just tell us, who is Chloe, your protagonist in Finding Bliss?
Chloe's actually a very small character from the book that I wrote called One Pink Line, and One Pink Line is told in 2 narratives, a girl named Sydney and a girl named Grace. And Chloe from Finding Bliss is a friend of Grace's in high school from that first book.
Yes, and anybody who has read One Pink Line, I'm sure is ready to devour Finding Bliss. The excerpt that we read for Finding Bliss deals with Chloe's infertility. Why did you decide to touch on that theme for Finding Bliss?
I really wanted to tackle that subject in a way that I sort of feel that it's not tackled, and that is with just some real honesty and humor. I have so many friends who have battled infertility, and while I didn't want it to make the book about it, I wanted it to just sort of have that thread, because it was important for me to write about. And my sister struggled for a long time with infertility. I was just surprised to hear, how little people kind of talk about it amongst one another, and how they struggle with it, and how it really does, define you and define the people around you, and how people treat you and how you treat other people. And I don't know, it was just really important for me to kind of shed a different light on it.
Dina, your voice in writing is so connecting and so authentic and so full of heart. And so I'm sure a lot of people are going to be very grateful that you have brought your voice to this topic. Now, the very last line of the synopsis for Finding Bliss says this, and I'm going to read it. It says, "Poignant, heartfelt, and emotional, Finding Bliss is a reminder that you don't have to live a fairy tale life in order to have a happy ending." That's really interesting and different. Tell me about that.
Thanks. I really like that line, and I really think it does a great job of summing up what I hoped to do with this book. I write contemporary romance, and Finding Bliss, like all my books, at its core, is a love story. But with Finding Bliss, I really wanted to sort of challenge the idea of happily ever after, and maybe how it's not exactly what you assume it might be.
That's a really good point. Really. I mean, I think that's really very wise of you, because especially when you say you want to challenge what people think will make them happy versus what really is.
What really does end up making them happy.
Yeah, I mean, what do you mean by that?
Well, I don't want to give anything away with the book, but people get focused on whether it's in a relationship, and maybe it's the wrong guy, but you haven't realized it yet, and you're so focused on making something work that just is so wrong for you, but in your mind it checks all the boxes that it should, but in reality it's not right. Something that's not working or not clicking, and you're so focused on the one thing that's not working, where really, if you kind of take a step back and look at all the other good things, people kind of sometimes need to do that to realize the happiness that they're looking for in the wrong place is really right in front of them.
There's two things I'm getting out of what you're saying, and I always get really excited when we get to talk about this type of thing, because this is like right in my wheelhouse. Number one, it sounds to me like what you're saying is happiness is an actual choice, and happiness lies within the way you decide to view what you got. And the other thing I love too is you were mentioning what you think, it checks all the boxes, but it's like heart versus head. But let's face it, your book is called Finding Bliss, so I'm assuming, without having read it, that there's going to be greater lessons there than just Chloe's story. I think we're all probably going to get something out of it about finding our own bliss too, So is that correct?
Yeah, and about how it's different for different people. Exactly.
Right. The worst thing you can do is look over at someone else and try to mimic or imitate their path, because it's impossible.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I can't wait to read it, because as I mentioned, I have read One Pink Line, loved it, and I would be remiss if I did not tell you that I am deeply and completely and totally in love with your protagonist, your hero, Ethan. He is the perfect man. This is the protagonist in One Pink Line, which all of you need to run out and read. And, of course, read Finding Bliss, because I'm sure it's equally fabulous. Where did Ethan come from? How did you dream up this perfect, generous, loving, wonderful man?
I do get told sometimes he seems too good to be true. He, to me, is my Mr. Darcy. I am a huge Pride and Prejudice goober fan.
Me too. Me too.
Oh, yay!
Yes, he's my ultimate.
And
no wonder I loved Ethan. He is Mr. Darcy. And I'm like crazy about Pride and Prejudice. Crazy about it.
Yeah.
Now, there is a subject of debate amongst us P&P lovers. I'm a miniseries girl, the BBC miniseries that's 6 hours. What are you? Which camp are you in?
Well, you're not alone. I think you're in the majority. But I am a huge, crazy fan of the Keira Knightley movie. I have seen it like 65 times. I own it. I also own the miniseries. I take it on almost every plane ride with me on my DVD player. I can recite the dialogue. I just love it. My husband thinks I'm nuts. Anytime it plays on the E channel all the time, I'll watch it with commercials, even though I own it. It's like I'm insane.
I love it. Okay.
I know.
That version has the rain scene, so I'll give you that. But my version has Darcy coming out of the lake.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you are obviously a true romantic at heart then. Completely, totally, and utterly, aren't you, Dina?
Yes.
Well, what's next for you? We've got Finding Bliss coming out July 16. What does the landscape look like for Ms. Dina Silver?
Well, right now I am working on my 4th book, and I was just working on it this morning. This one, the characters are in Thailand, and it's a love story. And it's about a girl who meets a guy who is sailing around the world. Something really tragic and crazy happens to them in the Indian Ocean. I can't say anything else. But if I can pull this off, I think it's going to be really awesome.
Well, if anyone can pull it off, you can. I mean it. I'm telling you, I love you. I love your writing. I was really giddy and excited knowing I got to talk to you today. And
That's so great to hear.
oh, yeah, and you do not disappoint. Where can we find you?
I'm on Facebook a ton. I'm on Twitter. And I have a website, dinasilver.com.
Okay.
On my website are links to my Facebook, my Twitter, my blog, things like that, my email, everything. My
Okay.
address, my home phone. Just kidding.
Dina, it is such a pleasure to talk to you. It is a pleasure to know that you are continuing to write and to gift the world with your voice, which is so fresh and unique and heartfelt. I absolutely love you, and I cannot wait to get my hands on Finding Bliss.
Thank you. I can't wait to hear what you think.
Oh, you'll be hearing from me. Well, thank you again, and it's been a real pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Laura.
Bye, Dina. Thank you so much for watching our show this week. As always, we'd love to hear from you at KindleLoveStories.com or in our group on Goodreads. And don't forget, if you want to listen to the podcast, it's available on iTunes. Well, that's a wrap. Another great show. It was great talking to author Dina Silver about babies and pregnancy. So we'll see you next week.